Welcome to Shorr Solutions, the podcast, and I'm your host, Jay Shorr, CEO and founder of Shorr Solutions. We are a team of national and award-winning practice management consultants with experience running a multi-million-dollar cosmetic dermatology and plastic surgery practice. We're here to share strategies and insights that will help you grow your practice efficiently and profitably. In each episode, we'll explore the steps and actionable insights to guide you through your journey to increase efficiency, boost revenue, and decrease costs. Tune in and discover how to improve your patient experience and take your aesthetic practice to the next level.
This episode was originally recorded for the Aesthetically Speaking podcast by Nextech, and with their permission, we're proud to bring it to Shorr Solutions, the podcast. These insights were simply too valuable not to share with you. So, please enjoy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Aesthetically Speaking podcast presented by Nextech. I'm your host, Tyler Terry, and we are coming to you live from beautiful Orlando, Florida at the Nextech Edge Users Conference in Orlando. Today, I have a very special guest with me. His name is Jay Shorr. Jay, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
So, Jay, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Jay Shorr, and I am the founder and team leader, CEO of Shorr Solutions, which is a nationally award-winning recognized practice management consulting firm, and we specialize in the operational, administrative, and financial health and guidance of aesthetic, cosmetic, surgical practices, and med spas. I am a former practice owner of, at the time, one of the largest dermatology plastic surgery practices in South Florida. Until 2012. I sold the practice in 2013 and took the show on the road to work with aesthetic practices to help them start, run their business, and then eventually sell their business.
So tell me this, what is the first thing you do when you begin working with a med spa or an aesthetic practice?
It depends on how I receive that warm lead, cold lead, referral, whether it's a med spa or a dermatology or a surgical practice. The first thing I do is do a deep dive as to what are your needs, what are your wants, and what are your desires. Naturally, I'm going to hear the same thing. I want to make more money, I want to work less, and I want to learn how to retire.
Yeah, I want to sell this thing in 5 years.
Well, that's all well and good. So do I. But here I am at 71 years old, still pounding the street because I love what I do.
No way, you don't look 71. I wouldn't guess that.
Thanks. Well,
maybe 59.
It's the hair. But one of the first things I do is I want to find out, what is your goal?
Yeah.
What is your end game? What would you like me to assist you with? I'm also working at Florida Atlantic University. I'm adjunct faculty in the College of Executive Education, where I teach medical business management. Florida Atlantic University is in Boca Raton, South Florida, and I've been there 5 years teaching. And I teach med students, I teach graduate students, and people that want to get into the medical field. And what I learn most is if a doctor, if a PA, an esthetician wants to come and they want to say, I want to open it up, I want to find a new business model, I say, what do you want to achieve? You know, do you want to achieve money? Do you want to achieve success? Do you want to achieve notoriety? Do you want to be a pillar in your community? What are the 3-4 things that you really are interested in that's going to make a difference? I'm all about making a difference. You know, I want to make it a better world when I leave it than when I came into it.
Yeah.
So I have to learn, first of all, if you're a new practice or an existing practice. If you're a new practice, then I have a lot of work to do to get you from the beginning, from the starting line, not even to the finish line. You know, you have to cross a couple of hurdles along that way.
Yeah.
Then I'll look at your HR, I'll look at your revenue cycle, I'll look at your P&Ls. I'm a money and a finance and a legal compliance guy. The marketing, I leave that to the rest of my team.
That's exactly what this industry needs, is that right there. That's the backbone, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm all about profit and loss and legality, and the most important part of my entire journey is safety.
Yeah.
All right? And unfortunately, we don't do enough of that. My goal is to protect you from you in spite of you. All right? So the deep dive is finding out, where are you, where have you been, and where do you want to get to? And let us help you get there.
Okay. One of the things I noticed, and I think this is important for everybody to remember, is you really talked about how you ask questions to understand. You don't just throw up on them when they come to you and try to sell them on something and get them to become part of your business, part of your organization. But you ask so many probing questions right there, telling me how important it is for you to understand. You can't really advise if you don't understand.
What's most important is the journey to get there.
Yeah.
It's not going to be done tomorrow, and you're going to feel some pain along the way. There's the do it with you or do it for you method. Combination of both, and we'll help you get there along the way. I need to find your pain points.
Yeah, before you can address them, 100%. So can you explain what a sales funnel is and how it applies to aesthetic practices?
A sales funnel is a direction of where your new prospective and even existing patients start. It's a funnel. And I call it a conversion cascade. It's a program that I created called the Conversion Cascade. It's a 6-hour online module with tests and everything. And the Conversion Cascade starts like this. You have to have a market, and you market yourself in order to be able to get clients or prospective clients to join that journey with you. And I call it a journey. Don't hire any consulting company expecting the magic to appear immediately. So first it starts with the marketing. The purpose of the marketing is to generate the call. That's the bottom of the funnel. All right? The call then converts, hopefully, to a consult. Now, remember what I said. You did marketing, it costs you money. But it's not a cost, it's an investment. All right, the difference between a cost and investment, a cost you yield no return, an investment is you're hoping to get a return out of it. So you market to get that first call. I don't care whether the call is an online form. I don't care if it's a scheduling from your website. I don't care if it's a phone call. And then what happens? It is up to the people who are the ones that answer that lead, the warm lead, whether it's a warm lead online or a contact us, or even a referral from an existing client or patient. Then you have to convert that, and that's where the mistake many times is made, because we have fired all the receptionists, and then we rehired them and promoted them to directors of first impressions, because that's what they are. A director of first impressions. When somebody calls your office, you'll make it or break it right away by not even having that warm, friendly feeling, not having that smile, because a person, when you answer that phone, knows whether you're happy. Don't be an interruption of their day. And therefore, when you call, you want them to understand, for example, Tyler's Cosmetic and Plastic Surgery, this is Jay, and I can help you. You're already telling somebody they've reached the right person who can help them. So right then and there, you want to get that call to convert to a consult. Oh, did I mention you haven't made any money yet?
Yeah.
Now from the consult, you have to sell them that treatment. And you haven't made any money yet. That's the funnel. So we're going to go from step to step to step. So you'll have the warm lead converts to a call. The call converts to a consult. And you're moving from one funnel part to the next. And you still haven't made any money. And then you're following up with them. When should you follow up with them? Right away. People ask me, Jay, how many times do you follow up with somebody? I said, until they tell me don't call me anymore.
Yeah.
All right? Now, there is a time when you kind of get ghosted over and over and over again, and you kind of understand there's really not an interest. But understand something, people don't go online and start looking for a breast aug or a tummy tuck or a facelift because they have nothing else to do. They call you because they have an interest, but never lose sight of the fact that you are not the only one they're calling. So you've got to be more diligent because the early bird will catch the worm.
You're not the only game in town.
No, you are not. And you may be the last one they called, or you may be the first one that they called. And in that funnel, you have to understand, did I answer the call right away? And if you don't, they're going on to the next one and the next one. And that doesn't even guarantee you the sale yet.
Wow.
So that funnel opens up and then comes right down to the final. Then comes the treatment. Now you've generated some money. And then it's up to us never to push them out of that funnel. It's up to us to be able to upsell to keep the patient coming back for more. Because in the plastic surgery world, a young girl who is 18 to 21 years old and has her primary breast augmentation, you may never ever see her again. And you may have thousands of clients that are on the lowest end of the spectrum. I personally liked the mature female or male with the mid-aging face that needs maintenance over and over and over again, and which coming to come back. What's maintenance? Maintenance is Botox, Dysport, Jeuveau, Xeomin. I'm going to be very fair and kind to all of them. All right?
Hydrofacial.
Right.
Diamond glow.
A diamond glow. All right. And I want to be fair to everybody because there's so many procedures out there and there's so many providers. There's a med spa on every corner and there's a med spa going out of business every week and a new one opening up. And I get calls all the time. And I ask, what's going to differentiate you from that of the other person down the street? And then we have to build your business plan to show why you're better, and you have to follow the business plan. So the funnel is multiple steps along the way. I call it a conversion cascade.
Wow. Okay, I have so many questions. I wrote down a lot of notes here. You know, a lot of times people talk about the lifetime value of a patient, and it's really because they're trying to get them to become a lifetime patient. What have you seen as the most impactful tactic? And I don't even know if you can share this with us. Might be something that
there's no secret sauce.
There's no secrets. All right. What are you seeing? What is the trick to getting them to become a lifetime patient? Patient comes in, let's say, you know, she's 32 years old, she gets breast augmentation, that plastic surgery practice has a med spa component. How do they get her to continue to come back?
That's difference between the 18-year-old to 21-year-old that I spoke to the 35-year-old.
Yeah.
Because then they're getting a little bit more mature and they're starting to notice a little bit more aging.
Yep.
They're starting to notice a little bit possibly more sun damage. Remember, I'm from Florida, so we have a lot of sun damage. So it's a matter of, it's not price, it's service. Do the people that come in, does the patient that's coming in, are you showing them the love or are you showing them, are they a transaction? Do not treat your patient base like a transaction because there's a 7-Eleven, a Wawa, an Exxon, a Mobil on every corner, a Walgreens, a CVS. You have to make them feel that they're a part of your family. Let's take a quick break. I want to tell you about our Conversion Cascade 2.0 online course. In just a few hours, you and your team will learn how to attract more patients, convert more consults, and turn new leads into loyal patients, all at your own pace. Along with lifetime access, you'll receive downloadable tools such as phone scripts, marketing checklists, and conversion tracking tools to help improve your sales and customer service skills. And as a special thank you for being a podcast listener, use code PODCAST to get 20% off. Click the link in the show notes to sign up today.
All right, so just shifting gears a little bit, kind of going back to leads. If you're not getting enough leads for your business, what strategies do you recommend?
Well, if you're not getting enough leads, obviously, I think I spoke from the very first step about the conversion cascade or the funnel.
Yeah.
It's the marketing. I don't care how you do it, whether it's in person, whether it's going to a church or synagogue event, whether it's going to a skin cancer symposium. I speak at a dozen of these conferences a year. Even I get leads. I did a business lecture this morning on how to create a business plan. It was not elementary, so it really was not a packed room. Only those people who really need to create a business plan. That's not going to be an esthetician. That's not going to be an employee that works for somebody. Maybe the practice administrator, maybe the business owner, they want to know either for expansion or they're just going to start up or they've just never had a plan. If you're not getting enough warm leads or generated leads, then you really haven't either done enough marketing or you're not doing a good job on your search engine optimization for your website. And don't blame your website vendor for what I call SE leads. And I won't say the word online here, all right? But I get so many leads. No, you should be thankful that you're getting the leads. Maybe your team is SE, all right?
Yeah.
Because really, What it is you have to learn how to convert. And it's that very beginning of the funnel. I wish I only had all the leads to pick and choose from. Maybe these leads aren't a good fit for you. All right? Maybe they're better for somebody else. So how do you generate more? You got to invest in more in your business to do more marketing. You got to put yourself out there to be a pillar in the community to let people know you are the right one for them to come to.
Yeah, so maybe boosting up the amount of money that you're spending, changing the medium in which you're marketing on, or dialing it in, to your point. Like maybe it's your practice, your marketing director is not dialing that in, or maybe you need to shift gears. But
Well, it's an unbalanced
kinda looking
scale. A lot of people don't understand SEM, SEO, PPC, organic, all right? And in the very beginning, what you really need to do is you need to have more on the pay-per-click side that gets you to the top of the page on Google. And as more of your organic is boosting up and you're getting more leads, the scale kind of goes like this, where you spend less on the pay-per-click, all right, than you do on the organic, and the organic then overtakes that, and you're listed on page one. Hopefully the first X amount, so that people, because believe me when I tell you, I do a lot of research. I rarely get to page two,
yeah,
especially with ChatGPT and AI now.
yeah,
And now with practices, there's so many practices that are paying for those clicks, plus the organic. I've had enough in the community.
wow.
Right? It's all how you boost your keywords.
The way you just explained it, though, on the way that you can balance the scale and how it starts and shifts is amazing. I think anybody who listens to that will get it and it'll click, because that is the way you start. That's the way I would start. Like you sold me right there. Boom, pay-per-click. And obviously you got to do a great job throughout the funnel, throughout the patient experience, the consult experience, all the things. And then when the patient has an amazing result and an amazing experience, hopefully they leave you a review.
Hold
right?
on. You didn't even get there yet, because now you've spent all this money. And you spent, because remember, on the PPC side, there's two differences. One is an impression and one is the click.
Yep.
You're paying initially in your quality score to get you up to the top. You haven't paid anything yet until somebody clicks on that.
Yeah.
If somebody clicks on that and that's a good lead, and they call your practice or do a contact us, and you haven't answered that call, and you haven't answered that warm generated lead, you've just spent $5, $6, $10, $20 for that lead and did nothing with it.
Wow.
You see, I've seen every episode of Shark Tank that ever existed, all right? And there's a couple of questions that both Mr. Wonderful and Mark Cuban ask, right?
Yep.
What are those magical questions? What was the cost of the client acquisition?
Yeah, that's true. They call it CAC, right?
CAC.
Yep.
Cost of client acquisition, and what revenue did you generate from it? And if it cost you $1,000 and you generated $1,000, people say, "Oh, I didn't lose any money. I broke even." I said, "No, you didn't break even. You lost money." Why? Because you have a business to run, and you have gross revenue minus your cost of goods sold gives you your gross profit. You then have fixed and variable expenses, and then it gives you your net profit, and then you have your earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Now, I know I'm talking a lot of words, EBIT, EBITDA, all that stuff, net profit, but you can have a negative net profit with a positive gross margin, a gross profit, and people don't really understand that. The whole key to it is you've got to answer every lead and answer them immediately, because if you don't, somebody else will.
All right, so let's talk about, this is still part of the funnel, but let's talk about converting leads. What are some effective tactics for converting leads into consults at the bottom of the funnel?
Answer the phone. I keep saying this. We could do the whole podcast on answering the phone, answer the lead. And let me give you a quick example. Sunday morning, I'm a big Dolphins fan. I am an Eagles fan, but I live in Fort Lauderdale, so I am a Dolphins fan. And nothing, and I mean nothing, stops my Sunday of watching the football game. And at 10 o'clock in the morning, my wife and I are sitting on the sofa watching NFL Today and waiting for before. And I'm looking, and I want to buy a motorcycle, another motorcycle. And in buying that other motorcycle, I go online and I said, "Honey, what do you think about this motorcycle?" And she says, "Not again." And I had just had hand surgery. She says, "I'm not going to go on another motorcycle with you that's a two-wheeler." I know. Well, I don't want a motorcycle if my wife can't ride on the back.
Yeah.
And I said, what about a trike? One in
yeah.
the front, two in the back. They're the big bikes, all right, 1,600 cc, 1,590.
All right.
They're touring bikes. She said, okay. I filled out a lead form online to the local Harley-Davidson dealer, and I'm not kidding. 15 minutes later, I get a phone call. Jay, it's Pedro from Chester's Harley-Davidson. What are you doing today? I said, oh, no, not today. I'm watching the football game. He says, no. Why don't you come down and I have the bike you're looking for? And I'm thinking to myself, of course, you don't have the bike I'm looking for. You're going to bait and switch me, right?
Yeah.
And he said, no, seriously, why don't you come down and just take the bike for a test drive? Ladies and gentlemen, going to take the bike on a test drive is like bringing a puppy home for the weekend. I went down, I took a test drive, an hour's worth of negotiation. I was back home in time with the bike to watch the football game.
No way.
Now,
That is cool.
I bring this story up because it was not an inexpensive bike, all right? And if this gentleman had not called me, I probably would have gone to the bigger Harley-Davidson dealer in Fort Lauderdale and bought the bike, all right, if they had it in inventory. And I say this, and I share this with all of my practices. This was all about the conversion of this salesperson generating that lead from the very, very beginning when that lead came in, and he called me right away, and he told me to come in.
Yeah, and he kind of pushed back a little bit, saying, no, you got to come in. I've got the right one for you. I know it's Sunday football.
He hit me at a moment, an impulse in time that he had what I wanted. There are 4 magical consult questions.
Ooh.
Right?
Write these down.
The first magical question is, how long have you been thinking about this? How long have I been thinking about the procedure? Oh, I've been thinking about this for a while. Oh, how would the thought of having that procedure make you feel? All of a sudden, the eyes light up and you smile because now you're already thinking of having the procedure. You didn't even talk about $1 yet. First, how long have you been thinking about it? A while. How would the thought of it make you feel? Oh, wonderful. Next question. What's stopping you from having that procedure? Now, there are really 2 fears in our world. It's the fear of pain and the fear of money. That's the magical stopping questions right there. So I took the word pain out of the equation in our business, and we call it minor discomfort.
Okay.
All right? There's no such thing as a needle. It's an injection. All right? That has a little bit of minor discomfort. And
Yeah.
we can help you with a little bit of local anesthesia, and you'll never even know it. All right? Because people are needle phobic. People get white coat fever. They get diaphoretic. They get, they sweat and everything like that. So you have got to eliminate the why and the no.
Yeah.
And if you're smart enough to understand it, the last magical question is, that's a great question to ask your provider.
Ooh.
Because your director of first impressions can only share legally their opinion. The director of first impressions or a non-provider is not licensed to share the mixture concentration of what you're going to mix the neurotoxin with, what level of anesthesia you're going to have. They shouldn't be speaking about that. That's the doctor or the anesthesiologist. You're not qualified legally to be speaking about that. All right? That can be the biggest turnoff right now because people get scared of that. Let a medical professional do that. That's a great question to ask the doctor.
It builds trust. I feel like it builds trust and confidence. It piques their interest.
Look, another thing about that consult question is be a puppet of the doctor or provider. It only elevates that when the doctor answers that same identical question that you've answered already to the prospective patient or the patient, now the patient feels a level of confidence. This team really knows.
They're in sync.
Yeah, wow, they really knew that. And really what's more important than anything, I always say, if your staff does not know every page and drop down on your website, you're missing the boat.
Oh, yeah.
Why have a website with all this beautiful information on it and your team doesn't know it? Because what I can promise you is that the prospective patient's going to call your office knows it.
Yep.
They've already been on your website. They've already read it. Then they call, and your staff's going, well, I don't know, or they give different information that's on your website.
Wow.
I used to train my staff all the time and give tests about what's on our website. And if you don't know it, you have to study in that room until you know it.
Jay, I've never, literally never thought of the importance of that. It seems like a no-brainer, but I know that so many practices don't do it. Even at restaurants, like when I go to one of my favorite restaurants and it's a new waiter or waitress and they don't know if they offer soda water or a certain drink or if they could do lime or lemon, you're like, how can this be? This should be your thing. This is what you do.
Training.
I'm thinking of multiple questions here for you, Jay, but we talk about loyalty to the practice so that the patient continues to come in over and over again. I've seen practices where, and I know you've been doing this a lot longer than me and you're very experienced, but I see a lot of practices that require the patient to come in yearly, whether they're on a membership or not, and usually they are on a membership, but they're required to come in for a yearly consult, and then they're put on a treatment plan, and that treatment plan typically rolls over, and of course, it's a living, breathing treatment plan. But when you have that loyalty to the practice and you have a treatment plan, you feel not obligated, but you feel loyalty to the practice to keep coming in. And then you think of that treatment plan, oh yeah, this is my morning regimen on the left. This is my evening regimen on the right. I'm using Elastin skincare and Color Science, sunscreen or whatever it is. And then I'm getting my injectables every 4 months and my microdermabrasion. Essentially have this loyalty of, I'm not just this one-time patient and the practice is hoping that I come back in. It's, wow, I'm on a treatment plan and I'm committed to coming back in over the next year and maybe even becoming a lifetime patient.
Yeah, that's extract from the sales funnel.
Yeah.
All right, because the sales funnel are buckets. And really, I always say, don't let somebody out of your sales funnel, because when they've completed that journey, now you want to put them onto that regimen. Now put them back in the beginning. And if they've completed it, keep them coming back for more and always keep them in that funnel.
Wow, so they're always in the funnel. They're never out. See, I think a lot of people kick them out, and it's like, no, keep them in. That's amazing.
You have to kick me out. I'm not kicking you out.
I love that. I love that. I've never heard always keep them in your sales funnel.
It's like in a restaurant, in a hotel.
Yeah.
A hotel make a lot of their money in food and beverage. So I love coming to a resort hotel because many times I do 8, 10, 12 conferences a year, and I stay in these beautiful, the Wynn and the Bellagio and the Venetian, the Palazzo, all these beautiful 5-star hotels. Sometimes I never leave the hotel because I'm there and I'm lecturing and stuff like that. And I'll try all of the different restaurants, and I'll go to all of the different snack shops and things like that. Well, their job is to have all these menus of services in the room. And if you don't have a menu of services in your office, if you don't display it on monitors in your office, you're missing the boat. And I'll share an example. We had a very large derm, facial body plastics, and med spa. And I had derm patients asking us, do you know where we can get a good plastic surgeon? And I had plastic surgery patients asking us, do you know a good derm? And I said, I used to scratch my hair when I had hair. And I said, I'm missing the boat. So what did I do is I printed up brochures, and the brochures may have been procedural about what we did, but I call it wasted real estate on the backs of every one of the brochures, because I never kept the brochures that the vendors gave me, because that's the same brochure that's everywhere.
It's their marketing.
We had our own brochures for the procedure, but on the back of it listed every service that we had. And therefore, it made it a heavy awareness. Then I bought this big screen monitor in our reception area, and this is before DVDs and all that stuff. This was called, don't laugh, PowerPoint Viewer. All right?
Oh, yeah,
and I worked it with MS Config, and you have to understand, and really what MS Config is a loop. And we created these so that people sitting in there would see everything that we did. And as we did new procedures or got new machines, I would create a new presentation that may come on every 3 times instead of every 10th presentation, just to get the buzz going.
Yeah.
So when you're saying, what do you do when what you're doing doesn't work? Add new things to do.
Yeah.
marketing internal, I call it invertising versus advertising. It is much lesser of an investment to market to the people that you already have than it is to the people that you don't, because now I have to convert you from somewhere else.
Yep.
And that's harder to do if there's loyalty,
Yeah.
but I am very loyal to a fault in my personal and my professional life, but if you give me a reason to leave, I will.
Well, Jay, I just want to tell you this has been an incredible session, and I feel like we have so much more to talk about. I have more questions that I want to ask you. We're going to have you back on the show, but just want to thank you so much for your time and give you the opportunity if you have any final thoughts.
When you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. All right. Love your staff, treat them as part of the team, involve them in every step of the way. Take criticism and don't take it personally. Take it as somebody really has something important to say. They're not saying it. You have the Debbie and the Donnie complainers. You're never going to avoid that. But listen to what they have to say. And if you want to get in contact with us, free consult, you want to purchase that sales funnel, conversion cascade, www.shorr, SHORR, solutions, plural, because we have more than one solution, .com, shorrsolutions.com. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Don't go anywhere just yet. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the latest insights. New episodes are released every 2 weeks. For more valuable information and resources to elevate your practice, sign up for our e-newsletter. You'll get the latest industry updates, expert tips, and exclusive strategies straight to your inbox. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media at Shorr Solutions. If you're ready to take your practice to the next level, schedule a free consult with our team today. Thank you for joining us on Shorr Solutions, the podcast.